Frank. I'm here to present my learning management system comparison. I'll be comparing 4 different learning management systems, 2 I'm more familiar with and 2 that I'm not so much. I hope you enjoy it. So my outcomes here for the presentation, the first being hopefully the viewer will recognize the purpose of an LMS. The second is that they'll compare features of several LMS systems, and the third is that they would then decide which LMS may be the best for an organization's needs. So my table of contents here, I'm going to start with my introduction, and then I'm going to make my way through 4 different factors that could make be a part of one's decision to choose an LMS system, going through learner context or discipline, the pricing of the LMS, features of those LMS, and then the user experience. So here in my introduction, the role of a learning management system or an LMS software is to manage educational content and materials, integrate multimedia resources, and facilitate participation in learning activities. So the 4 LMS that I'll be comparing, I'm going to compare them on 4 factors that may be influential in the adoption process. The first one being learner context and discipline, which is outlined in Fatima and Akanda 2020. Where they talk about different disciplines as soft applied and hard applied. So we'll break that down here in a moment. The price, which will likely play a big part in one's decision of their LMS. Different features mentioned in a couple of our articles from this week, Yamini et al., in which they talk about what is an ideal LMS, what features student and educator may look for in an LMS, and Nguyen 2021, which also breaks down some of the top features, especially when it comes to user experience then, which is the last system, their last factor, which was also outlined in the Fatima and Akanda article. So I included this early on, that LMS cater to different disciplines. This was outlined in Fatima and Akanda's article. This is based on Bigland's 1973 model of disciplines. We have hard, pure, hard applied, soft, pure, and soft applied disciplines. This is to discuss really the type of career, the type of study that's being applied, and certain LMS work better for different types of disciplines. This will be expanded upon in a few slides here. So the 4 LMS that I opted to compare were Canvas, Instructure's Canvas, Google Classroom, Moodle, and 360 Learning. I'm familiar with Canvas. We use it for this course. I also use it every day as an educator at a high school level. I have a little bit of experience with Google Classroom. Moodle was new to me. I had heard at least a little bit about it, but I didn't know much about it otherwise. And then 360 Learning was brand new to me. I tried to find different LMS that were popular now, and that was one that I found to be exceedingly popular. So I included that in this comparison. So the first category that I wanted to compare between our LMS here was learner context or discipline. So this may be one of the first factors that would play a part in deciding which LMS is the right fit. So the first LMS, Canvas, according to the chart of disciplines, you could say here, classification of disciplines of Bigland's models, this is what I referenced in this comparison here. So Canvas best applies to soft applied disciplines such as education, small business, public administration, whereas Google Classroom almost exclusively soft applied in education. It doesn't have a whole lot of application outside of education. It is very catered to that specific context. Moodle, once again, best caters to soft applied disciplines as in education, freelance, small business. It does expand a little bit into maybe large business and public administration. And then 360 Learning, of these 4, applied the furthest, does apply well to soft applied disciplines, as well as soft pure disciplines, in particular business education, and corporate learning. So that one does stand out a little bit amongst the 4 options here. The second factor I took into account here was pricing. So I included a couple of different pricing models for each. Canvas is an open source software. It is free to teachers and to students, but you can get a paid premium option that opens up more resources within. Google Classroom is free across the board. There is more integrations you can get with a paid Google Suite account, but otherwise it is free, and it is probably one of the most accessible out there. Moodle, like Canvas, is open source and is actually quite free. You can do a paid premium option as well, but there is a lot of capabilities in the free model. And then 360 Learning, that starts out at an $8 per user account for a team up to 100 people. After that, you have to upgrade to a corporation account. That is based on an individual quote, so I don't have a tremendous amount of information there, but that one may end up being one of the more expensive options. The third factor I took into account here were different features that fell under each LMS. So Canvas offers quite a bit, including numerous options for discussion boards, collaborative features, external tool integration through Google Tools, Edpuzzle, as well as organizational tools such as their calendar feature, so you can see what assignments are coming up. Features that it is a little limited in. It's a little limited in collaboration tools beyond some of the discussion board options. There is some audio recording that you can do. There are some peer review options as well, but beyond that, it does feel a little limited in collaborative tools. There's also some difficulty in customization. You can set up a module however you like, but it does have its limitations. Google Classroom is highly collaborative. It has a lot of Google Tool integration, and Google Tools are pretty naturally collaborative, such as Google Docs, Google Sites, Google Slides, and then Google Teams. They have the announcement feature stream that you can see assignments and important files all uploaded in a row. The only other thing is that it's quite limited in other features. So it's great if you're sharing and grading assignments, but beyond that, most of what has to happen happens outside of the LMS. Moodle has a lot of collaborative tools like forums and peer review. It also has this feature of gamification that a lot of LMS don't actually have. That was one appealing feature that I found in my research. It does, however, have limited hybrid and synchronous virtual options. That was one very specific feature that was missing. Then 360-degree learning has a high focus on collaboration. That is one of their biggest features. They push that heavily, that they are very outstanding when it comes to collaboration. It has a gamified setup that I read was a very quite unique experience for people using it. It does have messaging software. It's really quite customizable, though I did see that content creation is often through external tools, that maybe some of those features you have to leave the LMS to find. The last factor that I took into account was the user experience. So this was outlined in Nguyen's article that we read this week in class, where they describe that the higher, the better a user experience, the more likely someone may use that LMS, and then the ease of use often then means that a student or a teacher would use it more often as well. So Canvas, the Canvas user experience, those that have experience with Canvas will most likely be the ones to find it easier to use. It does have accessibility options and a lot of training tools that would then make it a little bit easier and make both students and teachers more comfortable using it. That being said, the gradebook and the interface can be a little hard to navigate, especially if you're not very experienced with it. It takes a lot of clicks to get where you want to go and a lot of scrolling depending on how long the module page is, for example. Google Classroom is extremely easy to navigate and build. That is mostly because you are a little limited in what you can add into Google Classroom. It has very limited customization features, and it is quite tied to Google Tools. If you wanted to leave Google Docs, Google Slides, or any of those, it's not likely that you would find a lot of options there in Google Classroom. Moodle is highly customizable. They also offer course creation assistance if you struggle with course creation. They've partnered with other companies that specialize in those types of things to help make that experience easier for you if you are an instructor. That being said, I've read that it has a steep learning curve and some unintuitive design. That was actually the drawback that I also read about for 360 learning, was that it had a steep learning curve and again some unintuitive design. That being said, it had highly positive ratings. It adapts well to learner feedback, meaning that they do listen to feedback from customers and users, and they do attempt to make those changes, and people have vocalized that they actually do listen. They also offer a lot of training in the MLS and beyond to make that experience a lot easier and enjoyable for users. So when it comes down to which LMS is best, there's no right answer. Ultimately, all factors must be considered because an LMS is not always a one-size-fits-all solution. That's why we have to take into account these different factors such as pricing, user experience, features, and the type of context or discipline that one might be in. Here are all the references that I utilized throughout. I hope you learned something. Hopefully you've had an LMS that stuck out to you a little bit, and maybe you thought about your experience a little bit, where you are context-wise, and which one sounded like it could have been the best fit. Thank you for listening.